got a screening for the film Abominable, which comes out on September 27th. I will admit, a friend invited me to this, and I had no idea what the film was about. Hadn't seen any log lines, hadn't seen any summaries, hadn't seen any trailers. All I saw were a couple of posters, so I really didn't know what to expect. And I thought it was kind of funny because Smallfoot, another snow-related film, came out last year, and it also has a Yeti in it, but the similarities pretty much end there. I thought Smallfoot did a few new twists and turns on a very standard story, but parts of it still followed the formula a little closely. Whereas in Abominable, I think the emotional journey is much richer than something like Smallfoot, and is much richer than a typical film. But it is still, I wouldn't call it a groundbreaking film by any means, storytelling-wise. What's really, really cool about Abominable is that it's a DreamWorks collaboration with China. So I think they said that that collaboration was pretty groundbreaking and very different direction for the studio, because they did work with a Chinese animation studio, Pearl, and they really made sure to have a lot of authentic Chinese representation with the voice acting and with the animation, because it takes place in China and they wanted accuracy. That part's really, really cool. And there's very much an adventure across China, so you really get to see these really beautiful animated landscapes, obviously inspired by real places. The story is essentially about a girl who discovers an escaped Yeti has found her apartment. She's trying to get him to, she goes on an adventure to bring him home, and her neighbors, a pair of cousins, come along with her. I will say, this, by the way, spoilers, it is a fun movie. I like the emotions. I think the emotions and the adventure are the best parts of the film, because I will say the pacing is a little off. The villains are not that great. And pedantic nitpickers on the internet are going to have a ton of things to pick apart, because there are a lot of logical things that you are wondering about. A few too many for my taste. But again, the stuff that's really done well is this emotional journey. So the main character, Yi, is a girl who keeps herself busy. Instead of a dead mom, it's a dead dad. There's a switch on a trope. And so she's dealing with that loss. Her mom and grandma are very loving, very sweet, but it's really more her inability to deal with it. She deals with it by keeping herself busy with work and saving money so that she can go on a trip. Then she has an excuse to go on a trip when she takes the Yeti, Everest, who she names Everest, back home. We'll say it's a very fun adventure, because you got to see such beautiful landscapes. You really get to have a ton of fun with the different areas and the different parts of China that they get to see, that they get to travel to, that they get to experience. My favorite scene is when they see, I can't remember the exact location, but it's this beautiful, I would say, Buddhist temple garden. I think it's near the Himalayas. I think that's what they said. Forgive me, I'm not very up to date on my Chinese geography at all. And there was a lot of information in there that I couldn't quite catch everything. There's a beautiful scene there, and with Yi finally allowing herself to feel, and allowing herself to really deal with how she feels about the loss of her father. That was such a beautiful scene, really emotional. I don't want to give too much away, because it is really, really nice. I think anyone who's really missed somebody and allows themselves to feel will appreciate that scene. It's really similar to Inside Out, when Joy allows herself to feel sadness. But overall, I will say, the movie does have flaws. I would say the pacing's not always so great. And there's a lot of logical issues that I personally take with it. It's never clear how long they're gone. There are so many times where you're wondering, how are they eating? How are they keeping clean? How are they using the bathroom during this journey? It's never really clear how long they're supposed to be on this. Maybe it's a few days, but it feels like, oh, this could easily have been a few weeks or months. I'm not entirely clear on it. I think they say in the movie, but they make an excuse that they hide it from the family by saying, oh, we're going to Beijing to look at colleges with one of the kids. I really like. What's actually kind of funny is, I'll say this, the acting in this is really, really good, and the actors have really, really nice chemistry. I'll say I actually thought that all the characters were all cousins. No, oh no, they're just her friends and neighbors. Okay, I thought she said earlier that they were cousins. Oh, okay, her neighbors. The older guy they're using the excuse that they're going to visit him in college in Beijing, is very much you're supposed to think of him early on as this very shallow guy who only cares about Instagram likes and his hair and his fancy shoes. I feel like that character could have gone so wrong. He's actually my favorite character because he's so funny. He's the butt of the joke a lot too. His name is Jin, played by Tenzing Norgay Trainer. He's really, really good. He's so funny. He's the butt of the joke a lot, but they always give him a ton of charm. He's ridiculously likable even before you get to know him a little better, even when he is mostly concerned about his girlfriends and his hair and his shoes. It never feels like it's looking down on him for liking those things. And he is still really likable and really friendly and very funny and very charming, even when he's supposed to be the shallow guy. It's really, really funny. And he works off Yi really, really well. And I will spoil this. They don't get together. There's no love interest in this movie, which is a really, really nice change of pace. It's forced into a lot of movies. They don't do that here. I will say, if they had gone in that direction, which they don't, I wouldn't have minded because the characters actually do have a very good chemistry. Jin and Yi. It's adorable. They're really, really cute friends. They do treat each other like family. I think they're also supposed to be childhood friends. Again, the actual relationship was not clear to me. I think it was said in a line of dialogue, but it wasn't one I particularly caught and remembered. And he has a younger brother, Pang, who's adorable, very, very likable, very funny. And it's overall a very fun journey. The villains, not that great. Not that they're... The animation, I will say, is stunningly beautiful. The heroes are far more interesting than the villains, because the heroes have a really fun journey with Everest, and they get to work off each other. They all work off each other really, really nicely. They're all fun. They have a ton of personality, and they're likable. They do feel like they have a nice camaraderie. The villains, it's a little more confusing with them. They are pretty generic for the most part, and their motivation is not entirely clear. There's a few bait and switches that they do pull on you with those characters, and I feel like they could have been more fleshed out, a little more interesting, more clear motivations. That's just my thinking on that. And the pacing of the film is a little choppy. Personally, I think I would have liked it more. I get it, you had to have some tension. But I like the heroes and their adventure that much more than I like the plot with the villains. Though Jin has a really, really good line. I know who you are. You're the bad guys. Which is funny. It almost looks like he's going to betray them, but he doesn't. Again, really fun character. I will say the world building is a little confusing to me too, because Everest the Yeti has powers, and I will say it's not entirely clear to me what he can and can't do. He helps them a lot on their journey, definitely helps them out of situations. They, of course, are very proactive characters. But he can enlarge things, which is used a couple times. His fur glows. But it just wasn't I had a little bit of a tough time with it, I guess, because I didn't really understand what his limitations were, what he could and couldn't do. Ultimately, I'd say it's a mixed bag for me, because there are things that I think are done really, really well, and I really, like I said, the best thing I really like about this is its emotional journey. It is wonderful. And again, it was really, really cool just that DreamWorks did collaborate with China. That's a really cool thing. And I like that. I liked seeing the different point of view. I liked their takes on these characters, and it felt like there was a ton of love put into it. The animation is stunningly beautiful. The emotional journey is very, very rich. But there are flaws with it. Obviously, no such thing as a perfect film. I think people will really, really enjoy it. I certainly did. It's cute. Abominable. It's likable.